The Obama administration is failing to check immigrants against our FBI database prior to citizenship. Meanwhile, there's a surge of undocumented rushing our border to get in. Open borders and a grab bag of valid U.S. visas are now available overseas. But first, North Carolina Congressman Richard Hudson is readying the Concealed Carry Act of 2017, allowing persons to carry a concealed handgun from one state to another. I say, welcome to Trump's America. I would have never thought in my wildest dreams that we would see something like the Concealed Carry Act actually ready to go in front of Congress as quickly as this. What do you think? Do you think the pendulum is swinging back hard the other way?
Yes, it is. I think this is what's happened. Let's go back to the fact, how did nobody with any kind of background that people would listen to, or a pollster or whatever, who would ever come up with 309 electoral votes for Trump? Nobody. If you'd have gone to Vegas and made a bet, you probably could have made a fortune by saying, I'm putting up $100,000, you probably get $1 million back for saying that.
Well, let's just say even some states, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania.
But you know why? Because the people that were angry, that were frustrated, that were very in a state of despair, whispered, I'm going to vote for Trump. We should have paid more attention to the crowds. How many people came to hear Hillary? A few hundred at the most?
Yeah, they bust them in.
Exactly. It's thousands and thousands of people. I remember going back to that first big deal in Mobile, Alabama, in the middle of the summer of 1915. Oh my God, I said, that's a terrible place. I've been there. It's awful. It's humid. They'll be lucky to get 200. Well, they got 20,000. I mean, this told you where the popularity was, because people saw in Trump a leader, a good leader, not you know, when we...
Not a country club, milquetoast.
Well, not only that, when you talk about a leader, unfortunately, we look at the evil leaders of the 20th, 19th century. But this man really wants to make America great again. It's not an idle statement. He really means, he doesn't need the money. He doesn't need the fame. He's well known. He's got more money than is needed for 10 generations. He really feels he's been called upon to be the man to get America back into the straight shooting position that it was meant to be. America was meant to be the greatest country in the world.
That's how it was devised.
That's how it was devised.
I think that's a great idea to have a national concealed carry. You know, and you know this, and most people that are going to be honest know this, most of the mass shootings, most of the big shootings happen where guns are not allowed. It's always gun-free zone.
I don't share your importance of this. Look, if somebody's going to do it, police today are going to look the other way, because they know that they are becoming the victims of the bad guys, okay? And, you know, whether it was San Bernardino, all the various places where they had these outbursts, Chicago, Florida, you know, North Carolina. My God, Charlotte, North Carolina, I've been there. There was no more sedated city than Charlotte. And look what happened there. We have been infiltrated by people that want to do us bodily harm.
San Bernardino.
So the thing is, you know, yeah, well, San Bernardino is a good example. But the point is, I don't think the fact that what you're pointing out is true, that to even make a basic legislation out of it means that we're getting a little tired of being at the receiving end of the bad deal.
And you've got all three, Congress, Senate, President. So there's no reason. They had that in the beginning of the George Bush administration, but like you said, he was very weak and very feckless and didn't get a lot done. But I have a feeling that it's going to be a little bit different this time.
I think 8 years of Trump will make this country totally different, so that the issues, which are now life and death issues, will not be life and death issues anymore. I think he's going to, I'm not going to say he's going to have a Gestapo out there, but he's going to have a tough bunch of people that have law enforcement at their fingertips, that it isn't going to be necessary that people will have to worry about being the victims rather than the perpetrators.
So we talked about a little bit earlier, setting up this segment, that there's visas, valid U.S. visas floating all around the world that people are taking advantage of. There's a surge at the border currently of people rushing to get into the country.
I think that's the most dangerous thing of all, the way we have just opened. Two things I find is so un-American that people that come up with it should be going to jail. One is sanctuary cities, and the other one, open borders. You know, when our family came to the United States, we had to have 3 affidavits, 3 uncles or people with wealth that would absolutely testify to the fact that our family wouldn't become victims of the state. And they'd have to be signed off on by those people. So, I mean, it was very tough to get into this country at that time. Now, the only excuse to say, well, we need them to do the farm work, or we need them to do the work that most Americans want to do, which is a lie, but they use it as an excuse.
Do you know what the most recent surge is? Chinese coming here to have their babies. That's the new the new immigration surge.
I laugh at this because the Asians will probably be the biggest minority in this country in another 20 years, the way they're growing now. People don't know that. You know, first of all, they're very quiet. Asians by nature are very quiet. They don't cause any real problems. But the growth of the Asiatic population, especially the Chinese, is something that's becoming very, very big and will be a major minority factor in this country.
What do you mean a minority factor?
Well, I'd put all people that aren't white Christian Americans as everybody else is a minority.
So the visa situation is another one that Trump's going to have to look at. We allow people to come in. They're not even sneaking across. We're welcoming them in, and then they're overstaying their visas and not leaving. That's another huge.
Well, that's been going on
maybe 40% of our illegal population is that.
We have had, do you know the term anarchy? We've had no law enforcement. We've had anarchy. Yeah,
Law enforcement's been told to stand down.
Well, when you get the mayor of Chicago, when you get the mayor of San Francisco, when you get the mayor of New York saying, welcome, we will fight for the right to be a sanctuary. You know, to me, that used to be horrible. I mean, you were not only...
Look at our state that we live in, the beautiful state of California. We're now a sanctuary state.
You know, that would be called a crime against the government. To 20, 30 years ago, to say we're going to allow even criminals to find haven in our county or city or state would make you an accessory to the fact.
So I know this is going to be a little bit ridiculous, but why couldn't you have sanctuary cities for heroin, sanctuary cities for cocaine, sanctuary cities for rapists? I mean, where does it stop?
Well,
if you're not going to have law
you already
order?
do, because you don't have to prove that you're a good guy in order to be. You can do all the bad things that you've just mentioned, and find sanctuary because of it.
Ask Kate Stanley's family how they feel. We
Yeah.
need to take a brief time out. We'll be back faster than a carrier flip-flop that's moved from Mexico. If you want to watch the show or catch any of our segments, it's simple. It's free. Just go to YouTube and search Morris Beschloss. Remember to like us, recommend us, and leave comments and share with your family and friends.